how can we use our body weight properly? How exactly moving our body on the bike can improve our traction, cornering, braking and accelerating? How can it help us to swerve around road obstacles? And how can it help us to react faster in blind corners? This and much more we'll learn in this video. By the way, I looked around YouTube and I think this is the first video there that explains all the body positions systematically, not just one single aspect, like only counterbalancing or only hanging off or whatever. This is wider, more general video, so let more people watch it. Put a like right now. When we ride a motorcycle, obviously enough, our body can move to some degree in different directions. We can move our body more to the left or more to the right. We can move it forwards and backward. And we can move it up or down. And of course, we can combine all the above. The way we move our body on the bike can have a big impact on our riding. It can be significantly improved. However, it also can go south pretty fast too, if we don't know what are we doing. So now, let's talk about how exactly our body position affects our motorcycle, one direction at a time. But before we do that, I feel obligated to mention that for common street riding, you really should start paying close attention to your body position only after you become quite good at more basic stuff, like you should be able to be smooth on the throttle, you should be able to brake really good, and you already should feel really relaxed and confident in corners. I know that at least where I'm from, a lot of schools make their students move their body almost right away, but really, doing all the body position stuff is more like an icing on the cake. It won't save you if you can't brake or steer properly. It's here to improve your riding, not save it. Okay, let's start with the most common thing – moving our body weight left and right. You probably saw how road racers hang off their bikes inside of the turn really far. Also, you maybe saw that riders who make slow-speed maneuvers do the opposite thing, called the counterbalancing. These two techniques are in a sense two sides of the same coin. By moving our body more inside the turn or moving it outside, either decreases or increases the bike lean angle for the same speed. Here is the example. Same bike, same corner, same speed, same everything. The only thing different is the body position. As you can see, when I move my body more inside the turn, the bike itself stays a bit more vertical than when my body is in neutral position. When I move my body outside, the bike itself have to lean more for the same speed. Theoretically, the less your bike leans, the more of a spare grip you have. Therefore, the more cornering speed you can have. That's why in road racing, where every extra fraction of a second matters, everybody always moves their body inside the turn. Yes, they also use their inside knee as a feeler gauge for lean angle and the body ends up as an extra wind drag on the inside of the turn, but the main goal of this body position is to have less lean angle, more traction and therefore more cornering speed. It's the primary reason. Well, more traction and cornering speed sounds awesome. Everybody should start doing that, right? Maybe not so fast. There is a catch. Several in fact. First, to be able to get more traction out of this technique, we have to be very smooth when moving on our bike. More so, all these body movements should be precisely timed. All the body movement ideally happens when the bike is as close to being upright as it's possible. If you try to move your butt when the bike is already leaning, you will inevitably upset the suspension and your bike will have even less traction than it would if you would just remain neutral. Another reason why your body movement should be timed is that if you position yourself properly before the turn, your bike then leans much faster and easier. That's why road racers have to practice body position quite a lot in order for it to be useful. When done incorrectly, it kind of backfires and reduces your amount of traction, which was the whole point in the first place. Second important thing is that if we are talking about riding on the streets, we have to understand the gains with this hanging off technique. Let's return to this image. Look at the difference in the lean angle in hanging off position and in neutral position. Yes, there is a difference, but it is not a night and day difference. It's not like bike hanging off and now can go twice as fast as in neutral position. And it's pretty lightweight bike too. With heavier motorcycle, this difference will be even smaller. By hanging off the bike, we can go like 15% faster, which is really significant for lap times, but on public roads it doesn't really matter if you take a corner at 40 or 45 miles per hour. On the other hand, by hanging off into the turn, using full body position, we can't see as far into the blind corner. We can't see our mirrors, and we have to spend a bit more time and effort in case we need to make our bike more vertical, if we suddenly need to. So, to be honest, for street riding, all this racing body position is more like a gimmick. It's really fun to do from time to time, but it is not really useful. More useful thing is what a lot of people call mirror kissing, the kind of body position which is in the middle between the neutral and full racing knee down. In this case, we move only our upper body, without moving our butt from side to side. This way we gain less traction than in full body position, but at the same time there are almost no drawbacks either. After a little practice we can move our upper body almost without upsetting the suspension. And we can do it even in the middle of the turn. Yes, ideally, usually it's a good habit to not move mid-corner. But with only the upper body it's really difficult to upset the suspension if we move at least somewhat smoothly. So just for example, if mid-corner we see, I don't know, a big wide sand patch which we can't swerve, we can lose some speed and additionally hang off our upper body into the turn, so our motorcycle go as straight, as vertical as possible to gain a lot of traction. If you decide to practice whatever body position you want, regardless, make sure you keep your arms as loose and relaxed as possible. You shouldn't put any stress on the arms. Hold on to your bike primarily with your legs and knees. If you put extra stress on the handlebars, your front wheel can't make its small self-steering moves, which means now you have less traction. And that is the reason why we do the whole body position thing to begin with. So it will be pretty dumb. Now let's move on to the opposite thing, the counterbalancing. Counterbalancing is moving our body center of mass to the outer side of the turn, which increases the lean angle. Most often counterbalancing is used in slower speed situations, when we want to make a really tight turn. How it works? The turning radius of any motorcycle depends on how much the front wheel is turned and how much lean angle the bike has. The turn of handlebars is more important in this case. If you can turn your bike with handlebars in full lock, you'll get a decent sized turn even with completely upright bike. But if you want to make your turn even smaller, you want to lean your bike more. You can achieve it by going faster. But sometimes it is not an option. You might have water, sand or bad pavement, or you just don't want to scare people in the parking lot doing gymkhana around their new shiny car. You know, he just made the down payment. Have mercy. In this case, to increase your bike's lean angle without increasing speed, you can use counterbalancing technique. If you practice this, again, pay attention to your arms. They should be loose and relaxed. Clamp to the bike with your knees and legs, not with your arms. Also, very common misconception about counterbalancing technique is people think they use it to keep the bike from falling down at slow speed. No, as I mentioned before a lot of times, we keep bike from falling down with our clutch and throttle. The counterbalancing we do to increase the lean angle of the bike, usually in order to reduce the turning radius on slow speeds. Another benefit of the counterbalancing technique, which can prove quite useful, is that by using counterbalancing, we can flick our bike faster from side to side. In this case, if we keep our body vertical and let the bike lean, we exclude part of our body mass from this angular movement, which is additionally located on the top of the bike. This reduces mass moment of inertia in this plane, so we can flick our bike faster from side to side. In street riding it can be useful sometimes. For example, if we need to swerve around something on the road really fast. With the counterbalancing, we'll do it faster, easier and with less effort. Faster transitions are also the reason why counterbalancing is used quite often on rodeos or small gymkhana courses, or even on tighter supermoto tracks. But generally, the faster the course, the less and less we use counterbalancing, and more we tend to move our body inside the turn. Another thing which counterbalancing can provide is better vision in blind turns. So sometimes we can use counterbalancing and go a bit slower to compensate for increased lean angle. In turn, we can look further into the blind turn and have more time to react properly. Okay, as you can see, moving your body inside and outside of the turn can be used differently for different reasons. But whatever you want to do, remember that playing with your body position should not affect your arms and vision. You still need to be able to keep your arms relaxed and to be able to look where you need. Otherwise, all the benefits you get from the body position will be lost. Now let's learn about another axis of movement – front and back. Moving your body to the front or to the back of the bike can change the load distribution on the wheels, which in turn changes the amount of grip on each wheel. This is being used a lot in off-road riding, because off-road usually we have much less grip, so it really makes a big difference. That's part of the reason why off-road bikes usually have long, narrow seat and rather narrow fuel tank. With such a setup, we are free to move our body front and back quite a lot. On most road bikes we have much less space to move, but we still can use this technique to a degree. Just like previously, we either can move our whole body, which makes bigger impact but takes more time and have a chance to upset the suspension if timed wrong. Or we can move only our upper body, which makes less impact, but also consumes almost zero energy and doesn't have any major drawbacks. For a street rider, the most common use for this technique on a bike is accelerations and decelerations. When we accelerate, the weight from the front wheel transfers to the back. If we accelerate fast enough, the front wheel starts to go up and the bike starts to wheelie. To mitigate this, we can use our body. If we lean forward, we put more load on the front tire, so our bike starts to wheelie later. So now we can accelerate a little faster. The same goes for braking too. If we want to brake a little faster, we can move our weight a bit back, for our bike to less likely make a stopping. In this case, the fastest possible braking will be at the point when rear tire just starts to go up in the air. Besides that, moving our body front and back on accelerations and decelerations can prove useful from ergonomic standpoint too. If we need to accelerate really fast, if we lean forward just a moment before acceleration, now we can easily twist our throttle fully open, without twisting the wrist too much and putting additional stress on our arms, and therefore avoiding parasitic steering. Plus, if we lean forward like this on the acceleration, our body takes much less energy to fight the accelerating reactive forces. Again, the same goes for braking too. On braking, we can pull back like this. Notice how arms change their position. Now we almost automatically can close throttle and apply brakes. And again, this way, if we engage our knees and core muscles a bit, our body fights the reactive forces during braking without putting additional stress on arms and steering, which results in better balance of the bike during braking. I personally find this technique very useful for street riding, even more useful than the whole leaning counter-leaning act. But that's just my opinion, try how it works for yourself. And another topic which we'll cover today is up and down motion, standing up on our pegs. Again, riding in a stand-up position is more of an off-road skill, but in street riding it also can prove useful sometimes, especially if you like to ride bumpy roads or jump speed bumps occasionally. When we stand up on a bumpy road, we suspend our body on our legs. So now the mass of our body, in a sense, becomes excluded from up and down motion. Our bike jumps up and down, but our body now isn't jumping, it just goes forward instead. This makes the job of our suspension massively easier. And since the primary job of motorcycle suspension is to keep the tires in contact with the road, providing us with traction, we have now better traction, so now we can turn, accelerate and brake more if we need it. And also this way our brain gets shaken less, which is a good bonus. Riding in a stand-up position also gives us an improved vision benefit. We can see further and we can see the road surface imperfection with greater depth, which is again very useful in bad road situations. Now, two important basics about riding in a stand-up position. First, the whole goal of this is to disengage our body weight from the rest of the bike. This means our legs and arms should not be completely straight and locked as we stand up. Our knees and elbows should be bent, allowing us to move our body independently from our bike. Second important thing is that we, again, as always, should not put any stress on the handlebars, so we have to drop the idea of clamping to our bike with our hands. Instead, we should use our feet and knees. We can press our feet against the bike, and additionally, we can wedge our knees against the tank. This usually really improves control over the bike without putting any stress on arms. Off-road bikes usually are equipped with serrated foot pegs like this, which under our body weight dig into our boots a bit and provide even more grip. But on regular street bikes, rubberized foot pegs can be pretty slippery under rainy conditions, so keep that in mind. And one last thing about standing up is that we can also recruit the gravity to help us by actively moving our body. For example, if we need to accelerate, we can move our body forward, or we can move it back when we need to brake. Off-road or dual sport bikes are better suited for this kind of stuff due to higher handlebars. Street bikes put rider in a bit of an awkward position. On the other hand, on street bikes standing up usually is not required for any long period of time. Usually it is used briefly in case we need to jump over some speed bump or ride over a pothole or other things of that nature. So really, low handlebars are not that much of a problem. On street bikes we still can use this technique from time to time. If you want to learn more about motorcycle riding, check out these videos. Please like, share and subscribe if you like this video. Thank you for watching and have a nice day. Bye.